This was robbed by we don't know who. It looks like they came in through the back window. They stole my microphone. Actually, funny enough, they stole half of my mic stand. Just the top half with the microphone on it. They stole the recording device. They stole a bunch of weird stuff like the strip lights. Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to This Week in Canada. My name is Roberto Wakerel Cruz, and with me, as per usual, is Nico Johnson. Say hello.
Hey guys, how you doing? I've had a pretty good day. Roberto, on the other hand, hasn't. He's had a bit of an event, and not a good one. Isn't that right, Bobby?
Yeah, so let me just explain really quickly to the viewers what's happened. If you've noticed anything different about my setup here in the background, I have some lights back there. I came into this office today where I usually record from my location. Nico records from his. And surprisingly enough, we got robbed. The office was robbed by we don't know who. It looks like they came in through the back window. They stole my microphone. Actually, funny enough, they stole half of my mic stand. Just the top half with the microphone on it. They stole the recording device. They stole a bunch of weird stuff like the strip lights and a bunch of tripods. They stole the office guitar and amplifier. And they seem to have gone through my desk and my personal stuff. My taxes were on the floor and a bunch of papers and everything. So it was a
pretty weird one.
It was a weird,
and it's quite
day.
Startling, isn't it? I've never been burgled, but I imagine it's pretty unpleasant.
To be honest with you, you feel a little icky. It feels gross. I feel a little violated because my privacy was just ransacked through. Now the good news is we have CCTV, and we caught a photo of the suspect. So let's put the first photo on the screen of suspect number one. Look at this guy. Now, this guy looks like a mean character. As you can see, he's from Montreal. Oh, hold on. Nico. I think that's Jerry Butts.
I thought he looked familiar. And on top of that, we saw someone. Luckily, we live in a proper community. We have friends who look out for us.
Yeah.
And they saw these two suspicious people walking down the street, and they went into a convenience store and they took a Snapchat. They were Spanish for some reason. And they took a Snapchat of someone who was carrying all this equipment. Let's put it up.
Yeah, let's show the picture of suspect number two. Now, this guy looks even shadier. Actually, that might be Justin Trudeau in Costa Rica.
Oh, that's my God. That's why they sprayed painted "Vote Liberal" on the wall. I mean, so this is the danger.
They spray painted on our wall "Vote Liberal." So, I mean, it is really, we did file a police report, and this is actually serious. We did file a police report, and they don't know if they can help us. Obviously, robberies like these are a little bit kind of hard to cover. They're not going to get the whole, special victims unit and do fingerprints and everything. These people are a little busier. So really, because we didn't have any of the serial codes for any of the things, they said they can't really help us, and we're trying to work it out. But so it is rough times a little bit. Obviously, the microphone and the recording device were worth a few $100s. We're not going to get into it. So if you do want to help, and this is going to sounds a little bad, but we would really appreciate it if you could help us out and give a one-time donation, the PayPal link, or go to the Patreon. You could help us out either way like that. Or if you want to help out in a more general sense, the Post Millennial is launching a small business fund for Canadians. You may have seen something similar in the news in the US. The Post Millennial wants to help these small businesses struggling through lockdowns. So if you could, either to us, if you want to help us with this stupid robbery that we've had to go through, or if you want to help just the community in general, go ahead, give a donation. We would really, really appreciate it. And hopefully, this doesn't happen again. Obviously, we're going to try to get an alarm system or whatever. But hold on can I just talk about how stupid it is that they stole this? the lights back here are like tape. They're like tape. The sticky on the back. So they would have had to peel it off, like totally off, and then roll it up. And then you reuse it. And not to mention the lights back there are only worth like $20. I mean, ridiculous. They didn't steal anything else. That was more. There was a few things that they could have stolen that were more about. All the computers were fine. Everything else was fine.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So
They're
weird.
the worst burglars in
The
the
worst
world.
burglars
They seem to
in the
take
world.
all the invaluable stuff and just pass the really expensive stuff. I mean, so TPM's located in Montreal, and I know like the whole French-English relationship in Canada is a bit testy, but on the whole, I quite like Montrealers. I quite like the Quebecois. But my God, do they like to burgle? And I think this is just yet another consequence of living in Montreal. We need to move to Saskatchewan, isn't that right, Bobby?
Yeah, no,
we would never
no
run into this type of
burglaries
thing.
would happen like this in Saskatchewan. And my favorite part, we could take a photo of this. We have a TV in the office where we'll put like press conferences or whatever, and it's on a mount that comes out of the wall. And what it looks like happened is that they tried to pull the TV off the wall, and you could see that the mount is all the way out, and it looks like they realized it was screwed into the wall and just left. They're just like, this is going to take too much work, and they got out of there. So anyway, let's not linger on it too much. We do have a good episode for you, and we're going to do transition one right now. Please donate to us, please. What a great transition.
Wow.
Buy a soda stream. Buy a soda stream. Let's go on to our next topic, our first topic of the week. And this one is fun because it's like revisiting an old friend or an old enemy, a guy you used to hear about a whole lot. And it's Bill Morneau, former finance minister. Bill Morneau is in the news. Nico, why exactly is Bill Morneau in the news? Last we heard of him, he was running to be a chair on the OECD after being disgraced finance minister. What's going on?
I mean, who remembers Bill Morneau? It's a very good question. I mean, let's throw this back a few months. You may remember the weed charity scandal. The mainstream media doesn't, but I know it sort of lingers in the mind of conservatives. And essentially, is they needed, a sacrificial lamb to throw in front of the boss that was a pretty bloodthirsty media. And what they did is they realised they couldn't blame another minority cabinet minister like they did with Jodie Wilson-Raybould. They're going to do that, I think, with, what was it, Marilyn Monsef, I seem to remember?
I think so.
Or Batra, whatever. But they realised that would look pretty bad, Justin Trudeau being the feminist that he is. So instead, he blamed his old-time friend, Bill Morneau. But he didn't fire Bill Morneau because that would look bad. And it would set a precedent on top of that for Justin Trudeau to resign because they did the same thing, essentially. They didn't recuse themselves from cabinet. So what he did instead is he resigned. And he resigned under the idea that he was going to go and run for the Organisation for, I think, Economic Cooperation and Development, which is one of these organisations you get throughout the Western world where dried up politicians go and earn thousands of dollars to do essentially nothing. And he wanted to head that. But the trouble is that a Canadian ran this think tank not that long ago, which means a Canadian was never, ever going to be voted in. And it is similar in many ways to Justin Trudeau's failed UN Security Council bid, in the sense that he threw a lot of his chips into it. He threw Canada's international reputation into it to try and get the seats when obviously he was never, ever going to win. So I think what's happened here is Justin Trudeau has again embarrassed Canada on the world stage in order to try and help out his friends, and more so than that, to save his own skin. But it was a bit of a disaster all around, Bobby.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound good. It sounds, I don't really understand the situation a whole lot. I know there's a lot of these organizations based out of Europe.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about them, like the World Economic Forum and what is this one called? They
have meaningless names. They're meaningless, long names, which are almost made for you not to remember them. Basically, it's a way for retired politicians. This is literally the whole point of them. They don't achieve anything. They don't do anything. They don't recommend any policy. It's just where these useless politicians who have usually, like Bill Morneau, resigned as a result of a scandal, and they go there and they get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit in Paris, mingling in nice restaurants and drinking nice wine. It's a real sham. So I think,
and let's remember, hold on, sorry to interrupt, but let's remember that was the whole reason that Bill Morneau said he was leaving the position of finance minister, was because he was the finance minister of the past. He was looking forward to the finance minister that would lead us through the pandemic, which was Chrystia Freeland, I guess.
Yeah.
And he said he was ready to move on from that position, and he was ready to pursue different ventures in his life in politics. He was going to continue to work in politics. So it sounded like he he left because obviously he couldn't quit because of the reasons you previously explained. And we remember at that press conference, he was given all these nonsense reasons. One thing I remember from the press conference specifically is remember when they cut off the press conference? Like they cut it off pretty early after when he was taking questions. And then he did this weird thing where he like brushed his hair behind his ear, but he has really short hair. So it just looked kind of like he was like rubbing. Here, we can roll the clip like right now. Just roll that clip really quickly. And that kind of just, it was so like effeminate and weird. It's kind of like when you see when a guy like maybe cries or tears up and he'll do that thing that women do where they like rub so they don't ruin their makeup and then they look at their hand to see the mascara. It's kind of like that when guys do that and you're like, oh, why are you so used to seeing women cry? Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent.
Bit of projection there, Bobby.
No, I don't break hearts, man. I don't break hearts. Anyway, I don't know. Bill Morneau, still a loser. I don't know. He's not going to have a future. I doubt we hear much.
Well,
more
I know you're wrong, Bobby. This is the great shame about all this, as per usual, is that this guy, as Bobby says, is a spectacular loser. He basically used his government position for means to further his own self and his family. He got his daughter a special job at a foundation, and it seems, this is the look of it, and this is why you recuse yourself in these type of discussions, because you can now accuse him of giving the weed charity a better deal because of his daughter's position, or because of the fact they paid for his vacation, a $41,000 vacation, which he happened to forget about. So this guy doesn't deserve to do well. He didn't deserve to get this position and rightfully lost it. But what's going to happen is, because he's a member of the Canadian establishment, is that he's just going to go and live quite a plushy life in Toronto, in Algonquin Park, He's not actually going to suffer for his vast economic ineptitude. And, I mean, I think this is an issue of all democracies, to be honest. And, democracy is the best, worst system of government, or however that Churchill saying goes. But it's a shame that he can't be at least a bit humiliated. Like, can we humiliate the guy, please? As a way of just saying bugger off what you did.
He didn't lose anything. He's still rich. He's still, a liberal.
No real consequences.
So, no real consequences. What else is new? One last thing about getting robbed. Another thing that they stole, which is totally valueless, was a charging pad from Dollarama. It was like a $2 charging pad because the port on my phone it was broken for a long time, and they stole that, but they didn't steal anything else. I don't know. Let's move on to the next. Move on to the next segment. All right, welcome back. That was a great transition. Our next segment is about another old friend that we haven't heard about in a little while. Though, if you've been paying attention to the news for a while, you know she is abusive, mean, and she's been to the moon. So,
and Bobby, let me say, you know what I found out today? Okay,
what's that?
I've got to be careful in the legal sense here, because Julie Payette in 2011 was accused by her husband of basically hitting him. He punched her husband. Allegedly punched her husband. And the case was later expounded, whatever it meant. I think it just means he withdrew his allegation. So Julie Payette was once, not anymore, was once an alleged husband hitter. Which makes...
Wow.
I mean, I'm not going to comment any further than that for fear of getting spat by the astronaut herself. But, let's get into the story, Bobby.
Yeah, so basically, this is going to be about Julie Payette, the former Governor General of Canada, who had to resign because, as we all know, she's a big meanie, a big stinker, a real knucklehead, and
an actual bully.
And an actual bully. The allegations have turned out to be, I mean, I don't know if I can legally say they're true yet, but it seems like
they may be true, is what
so
we're
this is my favorite
to say.
thing. This is my favorite thing about this whole Julie Payette thing that I didn't know. I read this and I couldn't believe it. Did you know that Julie Payette would give pop quizzes to her staff about the order of the planets, or where the meteor belt was and stuff? So it's you'd just be standing around filing papers for her, and she'd go, "Hey Nico, where is Saturn?" Named a planet in order backwards. And it's just like, I don't know, Julie. And she'd be like, you are poor. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, there's been these stories about Julie Payette from the beginning. Like, we heard about how she hated workmen and refused to move into Rideau Hall, which is the official residence of the Governor General, because it wasn't private enough. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building secret staircases so she never had to interact with the working class. She, there was rumors about her bullying people at like the Montreal astronaut dome or whatever it's called. And so there's a lot of these things. And what I also wanted to add, and we're doing a lot of throwbacks to the We Charity scandal, but all these stories about her, and this report was initiated during the We Charity scandal. And as Brian Lilly says at the Toronto Sun, and Brian Lilly knows his stuff, so follow him on Twitter, he basically said it's not a huge coincidence that, when the Trudeau Liberals are fighting for their survival, they are having to leak reports about Julie Payette. And that's basically what happened. But what we forget is that Justin Trudeau appointed her. And they're trying to distance themselves now, but they appointed her without the advice of the official boards who are actually hired to make recommendations about the Governor General. There were all these rumours about her. They weren't ready to respond to like press inquiries about her, dodgy life. And it wasn't a huge surprise. This is a total move which came as a result of virtue signalling. They chose her because they thought it would be a good story. And lo and behold, it didn't work out well when you put image above actual substance, which is what the Trudeau government does time and time again.
Absolutely. And just really quickly, you may have noticed my camera changed here. Really, my camera has just run out of battery. I don't really know. So we're switching to this camera for just the rest of this. I know it's been an awful day. So really quickly, we also have to remember that Julie Payette also has the worst coat of arms that have ever been seen in the world. So let's just put that on the screen really quickly. Just the worst coat of arms I've ever seen in my life.
The worst. No, it's terrible. It's why they like, how is she allowed to do that? Who lets people get away with this? I mean, for me, this is the problem of 21st century Canada, where we let essentially just people who are immature and quite narcissistic get away with screwing up all the country's traditions just because they feel a bit special. It really annoys me.
Yeah, there's been some speculation as to who's going to be the next Governor General. I don't know if we can really get into that. One name I keep seeing everywhere, and I just want to be a dose of reality for you guys. I keep saying Don Cherry should be the next Governor General. That is never going to happen in a million years. if you don't think they're going to comb through every single thing he's ever said about the one specific one, here's an easy one you can pick out of a hat. When Don Cherry said it's always broads getting hit with pucks at hockey games because they're always looking around, not paying attention to the game. You really think they're going to make that guy the Governor General? I mean, look, I love grapes and all that, but you're not going to, it's not going to happen. It's just never going to happen. Yeah. Nico, do you have anything else to add on that one?
Bobby, let me ask you a question. If you could have someone as Governor General, who would it be? Any person in Canada?
I mean, I think there is a rich tradition of I don't know how rich it is actually, of kind of going from someone French to someone English. That's kind of the way that it's been every for the last few. I don't know if they still continue that. I guess it's in my head because Julie Payette was an astronaut that it should be another astronaut, maybe a cooler astronaut. I actually really like Chris Hadfield. I don't know if you know who.
I find him so annoying.
You don't like Commander Chris Hadfield?
No, he's just an irritating dude. He thinks so much of himself.
Well, no, he doesn't. But apparently, I know someone that actually says he met his son, and his son apparently is a big, has as if he's been to space. But he's just like, I don't know. My mom's French and my dad's from space, and he just like a real hot shot. So I don't know. Maybe Hadfield's a bad choice. I don't have a real strong opinion on this. I'm almost in the McCullough camp on this. I don't necessarily think it's that important. I don't know if we should abolish the Governor General, but I don't know.
That's the whole point. You want someone who's like quiet. I mean, this is why Julie Payette was such a bad idea, was because the whole point of having a Governor General is that they stay away from the news. Yeah. And because you have someone who went to space and can't stop commenting on things like the environment, or I think she at one point said that people who believe in God are ridiculous. I mean, that's not helpful. That's not your constitutional role.
What is she,
So
Yuri Gagarin? I see no
I know.
God. Ooh,
Yeah.
come on, knock it off.
We need
and the
someone
last,
who's very plain, you know?
and the last thing to touch on also is that I don't know if it's actually settled if she's going to be getting her. So if you once you finish your term as Governor General, you get a check for life. You're paid forever.
Really?
I don't know yet if that has been worked out with Payette. There's been murmurs, and this is rumors, that Trudeau cut a deal with her saying, like, look, you got to step down. You're an abusive, really mean lady. And look, you'll get a paycheck for life. You just can't. You're getting me in so much trouble. You hate poor people. You've been to space, which is weird.
Yeah.
Let's see how this plays out. I don't know. I almost don't care, but it is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Should we move on to the outro?
Let's. Welcome back. What a good episode. I mean, Bobby quite naturally is a bit shaken. It hasn't been a great day at TPM naturally. I think it's not great ever to get robbed. Luckily, I'm not actually at the office, so I can just watch with glee from the sidelines. But I hope you enjoyed the episode nonetheless. I think it's been quite action-packed in its own way. We talked about our good friend Bill Morneau. We talked about Julie Payette, who fortunately will hopefully never have to speak about again. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bobby, anything to add?
Yeah, one more thing to add. Just give us a like, give us a subscription. The views on YouTube have been really wonky. Last week didn't do great. We think we might know why. We don't know if we're getting kind of censored. We're not making the news tab. We're not going to blame YouTube. We're not, we're not going to sit here and say that YouTube is suppressing us, but it does kind of feel like it. So just make sure you're watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you can, give a donation to the Small Business Fund. If you're extra kind of want to help us personally, we replace our gear. I hate using this iPhone. It looks weird. It looks ridiculous. Tripods and lighting. It would really mean a lot. So go ahead. The links are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again, hopefully for a better week next week.
Bye, everyone.